Hello class. This morning for our maths lesson we are going to be starting to look at fractions this week. Now for fractions what we are actually going to be doing today is simplifying some fractions, and that means if we have been given a fraction, trying to put it in its simplest form. So I'll explain in a second how to do it by numbers, but we're just going to have a look at looking at these pies that I've got, okay? So you can see that this pie is split into 3. Therefore, if I was to write this as a fraction, the denominator is going to be 3, okay? So just have a quick look and tell me what the denominator for these 2 pies are then going to be. Okay, so for this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for this one, if you counted all of those, you might just struggle to see, unfortunately, but it is actually split into 12 sections, okay? Now, you can see they are different colours, the lines, and that is for a specific reason, which I'll just explain in a second. So I split this pie to start off with into 3, okay? And I am going to shade one section of it. So I've shaded 1 out of 3 sections, okay? So remember that divider line, we've got 1 out of 3, so therefore we've got 1/3 of the pie. For here, the red lines are exactly the same, so it comes down and it's split into thirds, okay? But then the purple lines mean that it's split into 6. So if I was to shade, again, just the 1/3 of this here and here, then that is this bit and this bit, okay, which is still 1/3, but now because I've split it up into 6, how many sixths have I got? Well, I've got 2 sixths. You can see that the purple line down the middle there splits that third into 2, okay? So I've got 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you look at that from your angle, you will see that that is the exact same amount of pie as that bit, okay? Then if we move over to this side, let me just stand here, it's a little bit easier. You can see that the red lines come down exactly the same, so down here and here. So if I'm going to shade the same amount, I've got here, this bit, this bit, this bit, and now this bit. Now that is still 1/3 of the pie, but instead of it actually being split into thirds, it's split into 12. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 12 sections, okay? And like I just said, all of these are the same, therefore they are equal, okay? Now, if I have, come back to this side, if I have 4 12ths, we've decided that that's the same as 2 6ths and the same as 1/3, all right? Quickly have a little think to yourself, which is the simplest form, the simplest fraction? Is it this one, or this one? Okay, the simplest fraction, well done if you got that correct, is this one, okay? So we have to find the lowest number for the numerator and the denominator, and the way to do that is by finding common factors. So if I said to you, right, you've got 4 12ths, can you simplify it? We have to look and see, is there a number that got a common factor of 4 and 12? So is there a number that goes into 4 and into 12? Now I always think, right, let's look at the numerator, the number 4, and start at 4. And if 4 goes into the denominator, then that's the simplest you can get it. If it didn't, then you would have to work your way down from 4. So does 4 go into 12? 4, 8, 12. It does, it goes into it 3 times. So that is when, if I ask you to simplify this, how many 4s go into 12? We've just said 3. And how many 4s go into 4? 4. It's just the 1. So that's how it would be simplified to 1/3. Okay, that is the simplest form. However, some people might just look at this and not realise that 4 goes into that. and they would say, oh right, they're both even, therefore they're both divisible by 2, okay? So if you said they're both divisible by 2, well, how many 2's go into 4? 2, 4, so there's 2. And then how many 2's go into 12? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Well, there's 6. So that's how some people might end up here. But don't forget, well, you can still simplify that because they're both even. And then eventually you would end up with this answer. Okay, so I just wanted to put it in picture form so that you could hopefully see it visually to recognise that yes, they are all equal. So I've got 5/20ths. So what we need to do now is to put 5/20ths in its simplest form by finding a common factor of 5 and 20. So what number goes into 5 and 20 apart from 1, okay? 1 doesn't count because if I said how many 1s go into 5, it's 5. How many 1s go into 20, it's 20. So you've not actually changed the fraction. So I again start with the numerator, 5. Well, does 5 go into 5? Yeah. Does 5 go into 20? Yeah, it does. 5, 10, 15, 20. So therefore, if we are simplifying this fraction, look at how many 5's go into 5? 1. How many 5's go into 20? Counting your 5 times tables, and the answer's 4. Okay? So that's the simplest that you can get that. So you've simplified 5/20ths to 1/4. They are equal. That's why I've put an equal sign there. All right. Let me just show you. If I had a pie and I split it into quarters, and I've got 1/4 here, can you see? If I then have this pie and I've got it into quarters, and then I split it again into 8ths, and then if I keep splitting this, eventually to get it to 20ths, you will see that if I have that 5/20ths, it would be equivalent to 1/4, okay? Right, so let's move on to 6/14ths. So if I have got, let me rub that out. If I have got 6/14ths, what number goes into 6 and into 14? So start with 6. Does 6 go into 14? 6, 12, 18, it doesn't. So then move down from 6. So let's see, does 5 go into 6? No. Does 4 go into 6? 4, 8? No. Does 3 go into 6? Yeah, 3, 6. But then, does 3 go into 14? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15? No. So we can't have 3. What about 2? Does 2 go into 6? 2, 4, 6? Yeah, 3 times. Does 2 go into 14? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah, 7 times. So I've simplified that fraction to 3/7. Now for those year 6s who we've done prime numbers with before, you will recognise that 7's a prime number and therefore we cannot simplify it anymore. Okay? Finally, let's have a quick look at 9/20ths. So, as I said, start with 9. Does 9 go into 21? 9, 18, 27. It doesn't. So see if you can find a number that goes into 9 and goes into 21. So that's where the common factors come in. So you're finding a common factor of those two numbers. Okay, pause the video and see if you can simplify it. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you have managed to simplify this fraction because you have got calculations like this throughout your work today. So 9/21 is how we pronounce that fraction. What number goes into 9 and into 21? So you might have worked down from 9, or you might recognise straight off that actually they're both in your 3 times table. Okay, so let's count up in our 3's until we get to 9, and then we'll count up into our 3's until we get to 21. 3, 6, 9. So that's how many 3's go into that. So all I've done here is divided that by 3, and then I do the same to the bottom. Okay, how many 3's go into 21? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So there's 7. So that is simplified to 3/7, okay? Now you might say, hold on, no, it can't be right because that's a different fraction to that, but it is right, all right? It doesn't matter that it's the same answer, because actually if we were to, if we simplified that, we get 3/7, sorry, and if we simplify that, we get 3/7, so we've done it correct. Okay, you guys have got a lovely, lovely lesson today, and it's actually playing a game on the website, the link that I've posted below. Depending on which group, depends on which tab I want you to click on, whether it's fractions or mixed numbers, okay? Just let me remind you, if you have to simplify mixed numbers, for example, if it says 1 and 2/6, yeah? Let me just show you here. Then I've still got 1 whole. I just simplify my fraction. So I keep my 1 whole. Right, they're both divisible by 2. So it would be 1, and then how many 2's going to 6? 3. Okay, so it's 1 1/3. That's just if you are doing the mixed number, your actual whole number doesn't change. Okay, bless me. Okay, so let's have a little challenge before you go. 7/14, okay? 7/14, if I was to simplify this, they're both divisible by 7. 7 goes into 7 once, and 7 goes into 14, 7/14 twice. So 7/14 is equivalent to a half. So what I want you guys to do, you can see that this has got 1, 2, 3 digits. So what I want you to do is to see if you can find all of the fractions that have 3 digits like that are equivalent to a half, okay? So for example, well, I've got a half, then I work my way up. 2, so I've times that by 2, so I times that by 2, 4. Has that got 3 digits though? No, it hasn't. So that isn't 1. Then let's have a look at the next digit up, which is 3. So I've times that by 3, so I times that by 3, which is 6. Has that got 3 digits? No. Okay, so keep going like that until you find all of the answers that have got 3 digits as your fractions that are equivalent to a half. Okay, so that's what you guys are doing today in terms of the game. And yeah, if you can, screenshot the actual work, and then it's just so I can see how many you've actually got correct, all right?